Walking on the moon, David R. Scott. 60 feet above the moon, the blast off of a single rocket churns up a gray tumult of lunar dust that seems to engulf us. Blinded, I feel the rest of the way down on the gauges. With an abrupt jar of a lunar module or LM strikes the surface and shudders to rest. We have hit our target squarely, a large amphitheater guided by mountains and a deep canyon at the eastern edge of the vast plain. As Jim Irvin and I wait for the dust to settle, I recall the 12 revolutions that we have just spent in a lunar orbit aboard our Apollo 15 spaceship Endeavour. Each 2 hours found us completing a full circuit of Earth's ancient satellite, 1 hour knifing through lunar night, then sunrise, and an hour of daylight. As we orbited, I found a particular fascination in that sector of the darkened moon bathed in Earth's shine. The light reflected by our planet illuminates the sleeping moon much more brightly than moonlight silvers our own night. The mountains and crater, crater rims are clearly seen, barely discernible streamer of light, actually the glowing gases of the solar corona millions of miles away, played above the moon's horizon. Finally, the sun exploded into our view like a visual thunderclap. Abruptly, completely, in less than a second, its harsh light flooded into the spaceship and dazzled our eyes. As we looked into the early lunar morning from Endeavour, the moonscape stretched into the distance, everything the color of milk chocolate. Long angular shadows accentuated every hill, every crater. As the sun arched higher, the plains and canyons and mountains brightened to a gunmetal gray, while the shadows shrank. At the full lunar moontide, the sun glared down upon a bleached and almost featureless world. Now we have come to rest on the moon, and the last of the dust settles outside the LM. We throw the switches that convert this hybrid vehicle from spacecraft to dwelling. Thus begin our 67 hours of lunar residence. We are on a still and arid world where each blazing day and each sub-freezing night stretches through 355 Earth hours. We have landed in the bright morning of a moon day. When we depart, the sun will not have reached zenith. It is sobering to realize that we are the only living souls on this silent sphere, perhaps the only sentient beings in our solar system, not confined to Earth. Though we have slipped the bonds of our home planet, we remain Earthmen, so we keep our clocks set to Houston time and to gear our lives to the 24-hour cycle we have always known. Opening the top hatch for a preliminary reconnaissance, I peered out at a world seemingly embalmed in the epoch of its creation. Each line, each form blends into the harmonious whole of a single fluid sculpture. Craters left by recent meteorites merely millions of years ago stand out startlingly white like fresh scar tissue against the soft beach of the undulating terrain. I steal a moment and glance straight up into the black sky where the crystalline sphere of Earth, all blue and white sea and clouds, gleams in the abyss of space. In that cold and boundless emptiness, our planet provides the only glow of color. For 30 minutes, my helmet had pivots above the open hatch as I survey and photograph the wonderland of the lunar surface. The incredible variety of landforms in this restricted area on the moon, the horizon lies a, a scant mile and a half from a viewer, fills me with pleasant surprise. To the south, an 11,000-foot ridge rises above the bleak plain. To the east stretch the hulking heights of an even higher summit. On the west, a widening gorge plunges to depths of more than 1,000 feet, dominating the northeastern horizon. A great mountain stands in a noble splendor almost 3 miles above us. Ours is the first expedition to land amid lunar mountains, never quickened by life, never assailed by wind and rain. They loom still and serene, a tableau of forever. Their majesty overwhelms me. My 8 years of training in lunar geology makes me instantly aware of intriguing details. A dark line like a bathtub ring submerges the bases of mountains. Was it left by the subsiding lake of lava that filled the immense cavity of Palus Petridinus on the fringes of Mare Imbrium billions of years ago? Mare Imbrium, on whose edge we have landed, stretches across the face of the moon for some 650 miles. The celestial projectile that excavated it must have huge, perhaps as much as 50 miles across, and it slammed into the moon with a velocity many times greater than that of a rifle bullet. When we descend the ladder of the LM and step onto the moon's surface, Jim and I feel a gratifying sense of freedom. For 5 days, we have been crammed into the tight confines of the spacecraft that brought us here. Now, all at once, we regain the luxury of movement. But we quickly discover locomotion on the moon has its own peculiar restrictions. At one-sixth of Earth's gravity, we weigh only a sixth our normal poundage. Our gait quickly evolves into a rhythmic bounding motion that possesses all the lightness and ease of strolling on a trampoline. At the same time, since the mass of our bodies and the personal gear, and hence our inertia remains unchanged, starting and stopping require unusual exertion. I learned to get underway by thrusting my body forward as though I was stepping into a wind. To stop, I dig in my heels and lean backward. To fall on the moon, and I did several times, is to rediscover childhood. You go down in a slow motion, the impact is slight, the risk of injury virtually nil. Forsaking the adult attitude that regards the fall not only as a loss of dignity but also a source of broken bonds. The moon walker, like a child, accepts it as yet another diversion. Only the clinging moon dust, the untoward demand on the oxygen supply is occasioned by the exertion of getting up, pull the pleasure or impel the pleasure of a number. Personally, I find the one-sixth gravity of the moon more enjoyable than the soothing weightlessness of space. I have the same sense of buoyancy, but the moon provides a reassuringly fixed sense of up and down. As we unload and begin to assemble our equipment, including the battery-powered four-wheeled rover that will carry us across the moonscape at a jaunty 6 or so miles an hour, I gaze around at the plains and mountains that have become our world. My eyes trace a curiously contoured, a totally alien wasteland. I scan the lofty mountains and feel a strange, indescribable emotion. No naked eye has ever seen them, no foot has ever trod them. I am an intruder in an eternal wilderness. The following moonscape, unmarred by a single jagged peak, reminds me of Earth's uplands covered by a heavy blanket of fresh snow. Indeed, the dark gray moon dust, its consistency seems to be somewhere between coal dust and talcum powder, mantles virtually every physical feature of the lunar surface. Our boots sink gently into it. As we walk, we leave sharply chiseled footprints. Color undergoes an odd transformation here. Everything underfoot or nearby is gray, yet this hue blends gradually into the uniform golden tan that characterizes distant objects. And this small spectrum moves with the walker. Most of the scattered rocks share the same gray tint as the dust, but we find two that are jet black, two of pastel green, several with sparkling crystals, some coated with glass, and one that is white. As we advance, we are surrounded by stillness. No wind blows, no sound echoes, only shadows move within the spacesuit. I hear the reassuring purr of the miniaturized machines that supply vital oxygen and that shield me from the blistering 150-degree Fahrenheit surface heat of the lunar morning. Any of a thousand malfunctions in a spacesuit or the LM could condemn an astronaut to swift death. Yet we have a quiet confidence in our own abilities and boundless faith in the engineers and technicians who have fashioned the ingenious devices that transport and sustain us in space. Often in the course of my stay on the moon, I recall the words of American poet Edwin Markham. There is a destiny which makes us brothers. None goes his way alone. At first, we experience a troubling deception with perspective. Without the familiar measuring sticks of our native planet, trees, telephone poles, clouds, and haze, we cannot determine whether an object stands close at hand or at a considerable distance, or whether it is large or small. Gradually, our eyes learn to cope with the craters, mammoths, medium, and minuscule that dot virtually every inch of the surface. And gradually, the moon becomes a friendlier place. A thought occurs to me: would human beings born on the moon be able to find their way amongst the trees and clouds of Earth? Each excursion of the lunar surface is planned to last 7 hours, almost into the limit of a spacesuit's life-sustaining capabilities. We dig and drill into the surface, gather rocks and soil, take endless photographs. The photographs, it seems to me, provide us with a testament to that transcends me, for we may be photographing the distant past of our own planet. The rover functions impeccably as we ride from side to side, accumulating fragments of history. We bounce and pitch across omnipresent chuckle-hole-like craters. The motion exactly resembles that of a small boat in a rough sea. So does the physical effect. Incredible as it seems in the arid environment of the moon, seasickness could become an occupational hazard. After each of our expeditions, we climb, sapped of energy, back into the LM within its oxygen and food and water. It is a tiny artificial earth that comforts us in the void. Removing our spacesuits and attending to our housekeeping chores consumes 2 hours. For the first 20 minutes, we are conscious of a pervasive odor similar to that of gunpowder from the moon dust we have tracked in. Our air purifying system soon dispels the arid scent, but the fine adhesive dust clings to everything. Back on Earth, no amount of cleaning will convert our spacesuits from the gray hue acquired on the moon to their once pristine and sparkling white. The battle to the battle to slay, we create the illusion of night. We place opaque shades over the windows of the LM to exclude the hot sunlight reflected from the moon's surface. Then we go through all the homely activities of sunset on Earth, even to snapping on overhead lights when finally we switch them off. We settle into hammocks. On Earth, I have always found hammocks uncomfortable, but here my 30-pound body adapts marvelously into the canvas crescent, and I easily fall into dreamless sleep. Bounding along in the rover on our third and final expedition, we begin to feel fully at home in our new habitat. The craters now seem familiar and help us gauge the distances, and we venture across the horizon, the first astronauts ever to do so without anxiety. Should the sophisticated rover navigation system fail, we have a small cardboard sun compass fashioned by a technician in Houston, a frail instrument such shriveled by the savage lunar sunlight and coated with moon dust that will give us our bearings. But our newfound confidence stems less from instruments than from the fact that we have come to know and understand our surroundings. On our return, we even tear a shortcut. The rover bounces between undulations and the crater walls that mask a view of the LM for long minutes, but we emerge on target. Arriving at the LM, I experience a sense of impending loss. Soon I will leave the moon, probably forever, and in a peculiar way I have come to feel a strange affection for these peaceful, changeless companion of the earth. As I mount the ladder for the last time, I halt and glance back at the rover. It seems poised and ready for its next task, and poised in that same eager attitude it could remain for thousands, perhaps millions of years, a driverless vehicle lost in the loneliness of this lifeless realm. Beside it, like staunch sentinels, though the millenniums, through the long millenniums, will hulk the LM descent stage and the assorted equipment of our mission, the vacuum of space. The vacuum of space, which knows only negligible decay, will confer upon all of it, even unto the footprints we have left in the undrifting dust, a permanence akin unto immorality. Akin to immortality. The thought haunts us that the end of the Apollo flights may mark man's last visit to the moon for a long time. American manned exploration of deep space is scheduled for an indefinite hiatus. Most scientists have already suggested that when it resumes, all effort should concentrate upon reaching Mars and beyond, so our lunar artifacts bypassed in the race into the planets could remain undisturbed for eternity. Clutching the ladder, I raised my eyes from the now familiar moonscape to Earth, glowing in the black heavens that in that incredible vivid sphere, so blue, so beautiful, so beloved, and so bedeviled by ecological balances, gone awry by scattered starvation, and by our shortage of energy that may motivate us to seek sources beyond the earth. Our Apollo crew believes that a technology capable of exploring space can and will help resolve such problems. We feel a sense of pride in the accomplishments of our program, yet we cannot escape a sense of deep concern for the fate of our planet and our species. This concern has led us to add certain items to the equipment we are leaving on the moon. The sum of these articles we hope will form a resume of our era in the continuing story of the human race. In eons to come, should astronauts from the deeps of space from other solar systems in other galaxies pass this way, they may find our spool, our abandoned gear, a plaque of aluminium affixed to the deserted deserted stage portrays the two hemispheres of our planet. Upon it are engraved the name of our spacecraft, the date of our mission, and a roster of the crew. From this data, the equipment, and even title and dimensions, even the dimensions of our footprints, intelligent beings will readily deduce what kind of creatures we were and where we came. We have a piece of fauna, falcon feather, and of flora, four-leaf clover. In a little hollow In the moon dust, we place a stylized figurine of a man in a spacesuit, and beside it another metal plaque bearing the names of the 14 spacemen, Russians and Americans who have given their lives so that men may arrange the cosmos. Finally, we deposit a single book, the Bible. Our mission ends in fatigue and elation. Amazing success has rewarded the first extended scientific expedition to the moon. After debriefing and helping in the analysis of our findings, our crew disbands. Now, 2 years later, I continue to work in the Lyndon B. Johnson Space Center near Houston. Frequently, I reflect upon those 3 most memorable days of my life. Although I can reconstruct them visually moment by moment, sometimes I can scarcely believe that I have actually walked on the moon. Occasionally, while strolling on a crisp autumn night or driving a straight Texas road, I look up at the moon shining bright and proud over the clouds. My eye picks up the largest circular splotch on the silvery surface, Mare Imbrium. There at the eastern edge of that splotch, I once descended in a spaceship. Again, I feel that I will probably never return, and the thought stirs a pang of nostalgia. For when I took a look at the moon, I do not see a hostile, empty world. I see the radiant body where man has taken his first steps into a frontier that will never end. And in the end, the formal request, if you have not yet, please subscribe to the channel and press the like and bell button to get the fresh from us. Thank you for watching. Have a nice time. Goodbye.